How's it going, everybody? From Facebook, Instagram, this is Griffin and
Benjamin.
Angee, and we're just here to talk to you guys for a quick minute here on multiple different platforms about a few topics that we thought would do well today, which is how to do well in an economy, how insurance is done well in an economy, why insurance, and then, also just how you can add value and really stand out from those who you work with, whether you're in any industry, whether you're in sales, customer service, no matter what it is, really standing out, differentiating yourself from other people around you, and then surviving in any marketplace, no matter what year it is, what decade it is, what century it is. Take it away, Ben.
Awesome. Yeah, so just want to answer some of the things that a lot of the times when I'm interviewing people that want to onboard with our company, one of the things that I ask them is, are you looking for a job or are you looking for an opportunity? Right? Because the thing is, you can have a job, but a job is something you're doing just to make some income, right? When you have an opportunity, it's something that you're more passionate about. It's something that you take an interest to be the best at so that you can get the most out of it, right? An opportunity gives you chances, it gives you choices and freedom to do a lot more things, right? So basically, you want to be able to put yourself in a position that's going to continue to allow you to grow, and not just grow as an individual, but also, let's face it, you want to be able to grow and scale your income as well. So, I'm glad that Griffin mentioned what he said at the beginning, but one of the things I would love for you to talk a little more about is where do you come from as far as sales? What did you do before you actually jumped into insurance? And what did you see yourself in the long run when you were in a different sort of vehicle, if you will, and how that shifted over into insurance?
Yeah, super great question, man. When I was younger, I loved sports. All I could think about was football, basketball. I was pretty quick, so I liked to run. I would do track. I did all of those sports since at least the fourth grade, and then just playing backyard, schoolyard football and basketball. Really just used all the sports that I could play to be better at football. So I ran track so I could be faster at football. I did basketball to be more coordinated for football. I was a running back and a defensive back, so I just loved playing the game, and that's all I could think about. My older brothers played; they were wrestlers. In fact, when I was in middle school, the high school coach would invite me to come practice with his high school team because I was actually the same size as a few of his smaller guys. In high school, you got some 135 pounders. And I actually probably weighed 120, 130,
wow.
In fifth grade. And so I would come wrestle with some of the kids in high school. and that was just a lot of fun. I was always up for a challenge. And later on, I remember there being some school contests. My first interaction with sales was, it actually came into play with a school fundraiser in fourth grade.
Wow.
Where it was the entire school could do it. And then they were if you raise this much money, then you guys can use this for your school. It'll help your playground, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, yeah. We used to do it when I was in school with chocolate bars. They used to sell those chocolate bars, and that money would go towards, whatever it was that you were trying to raise funds for.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun. For me, it was fun. And I had some advantages that I think a lot of people didn't have. My dad worked with a very close-knit community with a couple hundred, maybe 100, 150 people that everybody knew him, he knew everybody. They all worked really close together. And I was able to go to his job on the weekend and just go door to door, office to office. My mom would help, the whole group got involved because my mom actually sold door to door. Never really talked about it, never really advertised it. She worked with Avon and Mary Kay, I think Mary Kay. And people know who that is.
Yeah, we've all heard of those.
You've heard of those. But anyway, I would see her go knock on the neighbor's door or talk to her friend about it, and she'd do it nonchalant, not very serious, but it was still a little side hustle because she was always a teacher. And so then anyway, I started doing door to door, and I would knock on the neighborhood and stuff too, but it was always better with the warm market instead of the cold market.
Of course.
So we would take the orders, collect the money, and I won first place, and I got this really cool prize and whatever, and it was pretty awesome to me at the time. Same thing next year, and not only did I win the next year, but I won by a long shot.
Nice.
And that was my first interaction, fourth and fifth grade. And then I was always able to communicate. I don't know how or why. It just kind of seemed like something normal, natural communication. And then I end up in sales, probably, I guess, at 16 years old. Well, really at 14 years old. I worked at a church, and I sold books.
Nice.
And I interviewed people, you know, and tried to find out what their needs and wants were,
right,
in order to help them solve a very specific problem that they were dealing with in life. And then take that into 16, 17, you know, doing some different retail type jobs, customer service type jobs. By the time I find myself in college, you know, I'm like, yeah, you know, $70K a year is going to be just fine. I could definitely survive on that. This was in 2011 or 12. I'm thinking this. And then one day something just clicked. I don't know if it was that I saw a movie or something just happened. And I was like, I need to be well beyond $70,000 a year.
Maybe it was the Wolf of Wall Street. No, I'm just kidding.
Something around that time. There's a few things I think that happened. A couple movies that I might have seen that year in 2013. I was 21 years old. I was like, I need to be a multimillionaire.
Yeah.
Because that's how I'm going to survive and accomplish some of the things I want to do. Because I do want to give back to the community. I do want to help a lot of people through church, charity. So I'm like, I just went all in to figuring it out. Like, how do I figure this thing out? Where do I go? I actually sat in a business classroom. I was doing business at a university, and I would actually Steve Jobs it. There was a lot of good movies that came out. Wolf of Wall Street, The Great Gatsby, Jobs with Ashton Kutcher.
Oh, yeah.
That came out, and those were like, I was thinking like that. Like, I love those movies. Like, I was obsessed with that. And I actually Steve Jobs it, I call it, and I went and sat in the back of a couple classes that I was not enrolled in. And one time the professor was like, "Young man," I walked into this big auditorium, and I'm just walking in, and there was
you weren't in the class.
I was not enrolled in the class. And there's like 15 other students in there, and I'm walking in, and he's a young man, and I'm just keep walking, young man, and I like turn around, and he's like, "I don't think this is the right class that you're supposed to be in." And I said, and the whole class is just kind of looking at me, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, "I just wanted to be here."
Yeah.
And he was like, "Well, you're welcome to have a seat if you'd like." And I went and sat. And then I attend every class on time, even when the other students wouldn't. And like, I never was going to get credit for the class. I was just there to learn.
Wow.
I was just there to learn. And he was my favorite professor and the reason why I chose his class to do that in was because I sat in one of his classes, or he filled in one day or something. And I remember him from my freshman year. I was probably a junior or senior. And he's like, I learned more in one class period with him the day that I decided to sit in his class.
Yeah.
I had been 6 weeks into the semester. I learned more in that class than I learned in all my other classes. Then I had 5 other classes combined in 6 weeks. I learned that more in 45 minutes from him. In 45 minutes than all the other 5 classes combined. And I was just like, this is insane. What a great decision that I made.
Yeah.
It's like, wow, so he started sending me like the lesson notes and the plan. He even sent me like the test so I could take it if I wanted to. He's like, you don't have to take this, but if you want to, you can.
Wow.
And like,
super cool.
He took me out to dinner one time because he was just like, dude, I'm super curious about, like, tell me about yourself. Like, who are you? Like, what's wrong with you? He was kind of inspired. He was kind of like, this is unusual. I've never had this happen before. Like, and he'd been a professor for years. He's a doctor, like in business. He has his doctorate in business. I'm like, so anyway, that was my obsession with business and money and success, which ultimately led me into sales. Because I was like, I just somehow found out like sales.
Yeah, what was it about sales that drove that for you?
This is what it was. I was like, I can go get an hourly job, which I had plenty of, where you're here, you're going to make this much per hour, that's it. I remember busting my butt. I remember guys who did make commission telling me, don't you get paid hourly? And I was like, yeah. They're like, I wouldn't worry about it then. They would tell me, like, I was like trying to get things done because salespeople were demanding me to get certain things done quickly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to do it for them. And then I had one sales guy who was like, why are you worried so much about this? Like, don't you get paid hourly?
You get paid anyways.
And I was like, yeah. He's like, I wouldn't really worry about it. I was like, so don't
work more, don't work harder.
That actually did something for me. I saw all these businesses that didn't have anyone who could make an extra buck. for going above and beyond. I'm sorry, but I'm not going to tip you for flipping the screen on an iPad so I can pay and then tip you. I did it during COVID a lot in the first year. I
Yeah, it was rough for everybody.
Felt bad for those people. So I was like, let me just tip you some because like I'm sure things have been tough.
Yeah.
But then I'm like, you know what? If you didn't add value, I got to this point.
Yeah, why am I adding
Why
value?
am I giving you money for doing the bare minimum?
Exactly.
So I wasn't going to reward that behavior. Oh, but Griffin, have a heart, be sympathetic, or be under. I could be understanding, but if I was you, because I've been in that position, I would work much harder and add value. Is there anything I can get for you? I would just do a lot of things differently. So I always want to incentivize anyone that works for me to have the ability to make a commission.
Yeah.
I have made several I just have to say it, ex-girlfriends, much more money than they were currently making at the time, double and tripling their income.
They got to pay you to date you. I'm just kidding. You're a married man now. But.
No, but I'm just saying, like, when I was dating them, I would see them be in this role, and I'm like, do you want to make more money? Yes. Good. This is something that I think would be a great fit, and here's how you could do it. And they would go into that role, and they would thrive. They would do the training, and they would thrive. I just saw sales as an opportunity to outwork those around me and become the very best person that I could, so that way I could make as much as I could with my time. Because I could sit at a computer, I could sit at a desk, and I could just do the day-to-day thing. And that's valuable, and that's secure, and that's great for some people. But for me, when you're young and you're in college and you don't have kids, of course it makes sense to work really hard if you want to, or if you can, and to work. I wasn't even necessarily working long hours. It was just that when I was there, I was making double and triple what somebody was making hourly in half the time.
Yeah.
It's just because I would just perform, and I would go above and beyond, and I would do what I learned from some really great people along the way. I got to meet with a lot of really wealthy people in my early 20s. I actually turned down an insurance guy because insurance was so unattractive to me. I was like, I don't want anything to do with insurance. I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. It just seems boring and unattractive. And I was in the entrepreneurial mindset and disease that we're plagued with today, which is how can I shortcut things and how can I put in the least amount of work possible in order to be successful, and all the false information that's out there.
Yeah.
Very, very long answer to your question.
That's cool.
But like that's what, like, same thing with insurance was like, okay, residual income. The oldest companies on the planet, the most financially secure companies on the planet. So whether we like banks or insurance companies or not, banks are relying extremely heavy on insurance companies. If insurance companies go, it's like the end of the world. Like we're looking at like a revolution. That would be like if Social Security ended.
The financial apocalypse.
We have bigger problems to worry about than that job not being there. Mm-hmm. Like we're talking about lines at grocery stores, out the door, wheelbarrows full of cash type of stuff if the insurance and Social Security ends. And that's why I believe that we are, and I know that we are, without a doubt, that we're in the most secure position and industry that we could possibly be in, and that your results are determined by your effort and your value that you bring. And because I was always that person, I haven't had I'm just going to say this out loud. Some of you guys are going to know what I'm going to talk about real quick, but really quick second on this one. In high school, wasn't the best. There were people more talented, faster, stronger than me. I was up there at a small school. However, my coach, we didn't really get along. And, hindsight's 20/20. I would do things different. I'm sure he would do some things different. I could have done a lot better for the team. I learned a lot about teamwork in high school. And individually, I was just known for hard work. So I would get the award out of the entire team for the hardest working individual my junior and senior year. I think they gave that to 2 people.
Wow.
On the team. And and really the best and hardest working individuals in high school typically played football or played sports. Wow. And so that's why they're great candidates for the insurance business. So if you ever have an athlete that you're interviewing, it's a huge green flag for someone that you want in your business. They always tend to do great, self-drive, self-motivated.
They've been in that team setting and they know what they have to do for themselves to provide for everyone.
Yeah, dude, I would stand at football practice in 100-degree weather in Oklahoma until 6 p.m. at night when everyone else was going home at 3. And I did this for years, for free. just so I could go play a nice game 8 times a year.
Right.
We worked all year long
To play 8 games.
to play anywhere from 8 to 15 games a year, depending on where you're at in the in junior high I played like 18 games because I played on the high school team and I played on the junior high team. I did both. So it's like 18 times or 9 times or 10 times a year you get to shine, but you're working all year for that thing. So whatever, right? But anyway, that's my answer to your question. Very long answer, but
thank you.
Nonetheless true. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And okay, so like, what do you think about this industry that makes it recession proof in terms of like compared to maybe something else specifically? Like, we hear a lot, like out here in Miami, I mean, how many people know a realtor? I mean, I'm a realtor, right? I think everybody's uncle or aunt or everyone knows a realtor, right? So I only bring this up not to bash real estate. I mean, honestly, real estate is, in my opinion, the best vehicle to continue to put your own money and investments into to make you more money and wealth. However, for me as a realtor, it was very difficult for me to pivot at different times, especially where I was in my career at the time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been driven with entrepreneurship and things like that as well, and I've been driven with sales and communication, and I love working with people, so it's always been second nature for me to sell. And it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard for me to do it because for the most part the time just didn't allow for me to understand the different ebbs and flows of the market. And that is something that today I understand a lot better, and I know that people can get into it and understand it and make a living off of it. It's not impossible, right? My only thing is that when there's lack of prediction in the world with what's happening with our politics, with what's happening with different things, it starts to add a lot of doubt or insecurity with regard to your job and what you do, and that's what I feel like gives people also a disadvantage in becoming a master at what they do, right?
Yeah.
I never became a master in real estate, right? And I think that it's a lot easier for you to become a master in something that you're trying to make a career out of, right? Like
right.
You want an opportunity, and when you pour yourself all into that opportunity, you should be hopeful at least that that's something that you're going to do for hopefully like the rest of your life. It's something that you're going to build towards the rest of your future.
Right.
So I feel like with insurance, you have an opportunity to do it a little different, where you continue to pay yourself with your production. Like what you put into it continues to pay you. Can you give us a little more insight on how that is and what you think of a pay structure, kind of like what we see in health insurance or insurance in general?
Yeah, it's a great thing because it does pay to be competent, to be very efficient and effective at what you do, and just knowing like how important and vital it is. Like I'm sure we've all had an experience somewhere where you go somewhere and the person that you're dealing with is not doing as well as you think that they should be or that they could be doing. And maybe you even think when you're there, you're like, well, if I was doing this job, this is what I would do. Well, I have that thought everywhere I go because I just have a business type of mindset, and I'm always looking to see, like, how can I improve? How can I just go to a place and have a great experience? What would I do if I was running this office? I wonder if the owner was sitting here right now, would the person that's sitting right there perform that way?
Right.
I've sat down many times at a restaurant and said, I would fire that person.
Yeah.
And there's other times where I'm like, hey, this person is amazing. And I let them know, like, you're amazing. And, I always tip 20% regardless, whether I like it or not. That's just, to me, part of what it is to be somewhere. But like with the insurance industry, it's kind of like being a server, being a waiter, being, an agent for real estate. You do have to be good at what you do. In real estate, I see that it takes a little bit more time to get started. So a lot of people will do something else while they're starting in real estate. They'll have a second or third job. They will have to have money saved up with a job, and then they'll start real estate. With insurance, I was able to make a sale in my first 2 weeks.
Nice.
But once I had those first 8 days behind me, I was able to get it rolling where I helped like 40 people in a matter of 30 days.
Nice.
And that was an awesome experience. I had a lot of sales experience and customer service and background dealing and talking with people. But if I could do 2 a day, 10 a week, 40 a month, that's 480 a year. I I was able to come close to that number in my first year, like my first full year. So it's cool to be 3 years later, you're like, I've helped close to 1,500 people. You know, that at some point, whether they're still with me or not, I helped that many people. So 4 years in, right, approaching 2,000, you learn a lot about people. You learn a lot of things about people and the way that they think. I mean, just societal common phrases and things that everyone agrees upon. And what I mean by that is, you talk to somebody, they're like, yeah, I don't think the world's going to last much longer. Like people were saying that.
The end of the world.
People were saying that during Vietnam. You know, people were saying that in the 40s and 50s when nuclear atom bombs were being developed. Like people are still saying that today. Well, Russia's probably going to blow up the whole world. Like, I hope not. You know, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, 1967, 1963, whenever it was. I think it was 63. But like, there was this right there, right down there in the Gulf. There was a standoff between the Russians and the Americans regarding Cuba. And
Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah, so it's like that event nearly triggered nuclear warfare, and people, you know, and we have a lot of our parents were doing drills where they would go duck their heads under desks in school and hide from a potential attack. And it's still happening 40, 30 years later. We're still talking about it.
Yeah.
Jesus is going to come back any day now. I've been hearing that my whole life. And there's been plenty of opportunities where it would have been a good time for Jesus to come back. Not saying it won't happen. Definitely could or should happen, I guess. But the point is that you need to live your life today to the fullest extent that you can. And you need to hope for the best, prepare for the best, like do the best that you can. Do the best you can with what you got. And, you know, that's something about it is just making sure that, like, you're doing everything you can today to help your kids, your future kids tomorrow, and setting your grandkids up and their grandkids up for success, and trying to make the world a better place than when you came into it. And I don't know if I really answered your question, but like the world is going to be coming to an end if Social Security ends. If they keep saying, "Oh, Social Security is going to run out," I hope that when I can get Social Security, it's still there.
Yeah.
You hear these things from people. These are genuine concerns,
Right.
Because of our country and how much debt it's in.
Yeah, there's a lot of concern. There's a lot of worry about things that may happen or supposed to happen, things like that. And I think people just worry too much about the things that haven't happened or that are outside of their sphere of control, right? It's like if we just worried more about the things you can control, the things you can do something about,
right,
you'd probably be a lot happier, get a lot more done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in insurance, what I've noticed is that if you're a person that likes to be in control, that you like to handle things, you like to get the most out of what you put into something, right?
Yeah.
It's an opportunity where you're going to continue to get paid because, you know, the fact that you can sign someone up, I mean, let's face it, when we're talking about Medicare, anyone that's 65 and older, you know, in the United States has to have it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like a property where everyone has to have one to live in, but not everyone's qualified to buy one. Right. So it's something that regardless of what's happening with our economy, like you said, unless there's like an apocalypse or something happens and we get rid of Social Security, which isn't going to happen, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody needs to have that once they reach a certain age, or if they have a disability that qualifies them for it before 65. Right. So it's just one of those things where it's like, there's people turning 65 every day in the United States, right? Yep. And people often don't get the services that they expect. So people are also changing plans. And right now we're in one of the most lucrative moments for health insurance, you know, in the year. Right. And, you know, that's between October to December, and we're in it right now. And I'm seeing it with people that have been with our company for 2 months. And they're at the top of the leaderboards because they put in the work and the training, and these guys are going to start seeing residual income come January. They're going to continue to get paid on the people that they enroll now, and not many jobs or careers or places continue to pay you for the effort you put into the sale one time, right? And not just that. I'm sure you've seen this, but you can always go back and sell your customers on services and products that they may have not needed before. Maybe they need it now. You know, you did life insurance before. Now you're in health insurance. How has that affected your ability to transition into health insurance? And you know, how does that give you a leg up?
Well, life insurance, if you start out in the right, in a company where you can keep your book of business, that's a key factor. You don't want to be somewhere where, they are buying your leads for you, but then you can't take them with you. You don't have any rights to them after you go.
That's
big. You want to have your own book of business, which we have here, but if you start out that way, you're going to be fortunate enough to help those individuals with things later because, I've taken calls on vacation. I've taken calls at 7 p.m. on a Sunday night, because I wanted to be there for that person when they needed me. I wanted to make myself available. I told them I would be available. I told them they could call me or text me on my cell phone. So I'm going to fulfill that obligation that I've provided them with that opportunity. Or I call them back in a very reasonable amount of time, always. And they don't have to wait on hold for 30 minutes. They get supreme customer service. I know how to answer their question. I know how to find what they want. So providing that to the customer, being good at that in general, and then maybe you help them with a life insurance policy. Some people look at that like it's a nice to have instead of a must have. But it really should be a must have. That's the way I look at it. That's why I own it, and I'm not a hypocrite, so I own what I offer. But when you have health, everyone's going to have health.
Yeah.
But maybe they'll add life. I've had many people, do you offer Medicare? Do you offer auto insurance? Because if you do, I would get it from you. I'm like, sorry, don't offer that here. I'm going to go down the road, and I'm going to actually refer you to a friend of mine who I think will do a good job for you. And that's exactly what I would do, is I'd have to refer them to somebody. That person doesn't know my friend as well as they know me.
Right.
They didn't have that relationship. It's just different. Maybe it works out for them, maybe it doesn't. Either way, I am putting them in good hands, but it's better if you can just help the person that you're talking to with financial services, not just life insurance. One more thing regarding that. In the past, you look at industry leaders, people who, like the Mississippi River, random example, was used to transport goods and services. If you were in the riverboat business strictly for transportation, or in the ferry business along the East Coast, strictly for your transportation, but then the car becomes invented, the train industry with their transportation out of business. The companies went out of business because they did not adapt the environment or adapt themselves a little bit.
Yeah.
So when the automobile came out, there was much less horse sales, but there was a problem that the automobile solved, which was there's not tons of feces in New York City and downtown. That was just horse feces everywhere. But if you said, I'm in the transportation industry, then you're now responsible for any mode of transportation that allows people to get from point A to point B. If you're in a financial industry, you should be able to offer multiple financial products. The problem that business owners see, some people, when they have a narrow focus on, hey, I'm a master at this one thing, they just lock in on this one thing, and I'm just going to do this one thing. And a lot of successful people, they don't do many things. So that is a true datum. If you study some great people, Andrew Carnegie, Steele. You got John D. Rockefeller with the oil industry and everything like that. There's a lot of controversy with those guys, but regardless of that, what I would say is that they were masters at growing their business.
Right.
And in some ways they did it, weren't right.
Yeah.
Right? We have unions today, labor unions, because of that. But with insurance, if you're a master at final expense, life insurance, that's very easy to master, in my opinion. Why can't I offer one or two more things to the same person? It's like when they come to Verizon Wireless, they're not coming just for a cell phone. They're coming to be able to enhance their experience and their communication and their relationship with others.
That's right.
So you can offer them a speaker, headphones, an iPad, a cell phone, a thing for their car that has Bluetooth. That's what we have here. And that's why I'm really grateful to be in that kind of company, because for guys like me, I think that we thrive. Where if you just want to go work in a warehouse or at McDonald's, that's fine. There are some type of McDonald's type or fast food type, hourly wage type insurance jobs you can get, but this job is too difficult to not get paid for the level of service that you could bring to the table if you want to go above and beyond.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think you definitely covered that. I want to see if there's any other topics and stuff you want to cover before we end off.
No, not really.
Yeah, I wanted to add one last thing, which is just the adaptability point that you brought up, I think is huge, right? Because you want to make sure that regardless of whatever industry you're in, whether you're going to sell insurance or not, wherever you're going, you want to be able to have that ability to grow, that ability to pivot, to expand, and to do more, right? Because honestly, like, nothing stays the same, right? So if you're not in a position where you can actually continue to do something for yourself and for the group you're a part of to make it grow constantly, then it's only going to stay constantly declining or dying, right? Just like you said, if, like, you know, there's a lot of other examples like Toys R Us, which now apparently is making a comeback. Good job. After like 6 years, right? But they're doing something about it now, right? But the point is, like, if you are constantly observing your industry, what you're doing, you're constantly focusing and learning and growing within your company and your line of work and your career, then you will be able to constantly shift and even predict those shifts that are coming so that you can benefit from them, right? But when you put yourself in a position of work with a group or a person or a career, it doesn't matter how you look at it, if you don't put yourself with that right type of character or people, right, that have that certain aspect to how they do things, like we do here, you're gonna limit yourself,
right?
And that's actually gonna make you decline, and it's gonna make you shrink, because you're not gonna be able to explore the other possibilities of what you can do and what you can offer other people, right? You're limiting how much more you can help others. Nobody wants to do that, right? So I think that, you know, Griffin coming over to LC Financial Group was huge, because he's just such a valuable asset to the company because of his experience, his dedication, his hard work, his knowledge, and definitely his work ethic, right? And he's gonna thrive here, because here we give him the opportunity for him to sell various products and services to the people he already has served before, right? And to people that he's already built a relationship with, on top of the people that we're gonna continue to give him, you know, here through our leads and through the different ways that we provide for our partners. So I definitely just want to thank everybody, especially you, Griffin, for jumping on and you know, giving me the opportunity to join you and collaborating with this call. And I just want to say that anything that you guys may need or want from us, you know, we're LC Financial Group. You guys can hit us up on our Instagram, on our Facebook, if you're joining us in any of those platforms, and you can message us and ask us for more information. And we're here to answer those questions, give you more data. Even if you're just curious or you have someone else that you want to refer to us, by all means, definitely we're open to that. And I'll let Griffin end off with whatever last words he has.
No, thank you, Ben, and that was tremendous. And no, I'm grateful to be here. I'm thankful to have the opportunity, because I want to thrive, I want to do well, and I want to go above and beyond. I got a lot of work left in me to live. I got a lot of life left, a lot of work left to do on this planet while I can. So I'll leave a few people with some questions to ask us, or to ask yourself, or to just think about and bounce off of us after this, or when you have time. Are people in your organization creating room for you? And are those people still pushing that are at the top? You know, like when I worked for Grant, one of the reasons why I went to work for Grant Cardone, because the guy's amazing, he's incredible. I've continued to use his products and services before, after, and enduring. The guy is still pushing. I knew, like, he was well known when I went to work for him. Nothing like today. 6 years ago compared to today, he's continued to just, if you don't know who he is, I mean, you have to just be extremely disconnected from society, I would think, at this point. Reason being, with all the collaboration that he's done with monster successful people in today's society. If you're working for the guy, good for you, because you're working for a guy that's still creating room for you to grow and raising the ceiling so you can continue to expand in your company. And that's what we have here that I'm really grateful for. Ryan's a little younger, you know, than Grant. 40 years younger, I think. So if Ryan wants to work for the next 40 years, I'll be happy about it, because I'll be working there too, and I'll be able to push and shove with the guy. And then we're going to have young people that come in to fill our shoes, and we're going to be able to help them get there faster than we got there.
And shout out to Ryan Lodi. He's our CEO and founder of LC Financial Group. If you guys don't know him, go ahead and go follow him. That's Ryan Lodi. And yes, he is a beast. We call him the machine. The guy is unmatched in work ethic. He grinds. He provides opportunity for anyone that he comes in contact with that shows interest and adds value to what we're trying to do here, definitely recommend following him, staying connected with him, and seeing what he's got. So
yeah, and lastly, is your mentor, is your leader,
oh yeah,
pushing and shoving to get better every single day?
Yeah.
Or have they just made it?
Yeah.
Are they satisfied with where they're at? What books have they read recently? What courses are they doing that they, how far are they going into bettering themselves throughout their lifetime and being the best possible version of themselves that they can be? That is probably the number one most important thing that any leader, mentor, or person.
Yeah, any leadership. Do they lead from the front? Are they examples? Are they constantly growing? Are they constantly showing you? Do they hold you accountable to your goals, your personal, professional, financial goals? That's what we do here. Every month we get together on a call and we check in and say, hey, how you doing? We take interest in people's personal lives, because it's not just about job or work. It's like, are you getting better as a person?
Right.
Are you adding value to your life with the people you have around you or not? Because if you can't continue to grow, you're never going to scale yourself. You're not going to scale a company. You have to take interest in the people that you're building something with. And
right.
That's everything. The people make the team. The team is nothing without the individuals. So
exactly.
Take interest in your individuals, to take interest in your organization, your company. Check us out, LC Financial Group. If you have more questions or you want to just get more information about insurance and how you can get into sales, contact either of us, Griffin Henderson, Benjamin Angee, or Ryan Lodi himself. Hit him up. Yep. And appreciate you guys. And we're going to be ending off here, but we'll be jumping on probably again tomorrow. Just keep putting content out here for you guys to appreciate, watch, and go ahead and comment.